Good morning, everybody. John Kennedy, President, Diageo Western Europe. A little bit about me. I've been with the company for the last 16 years, worked in a number of countries around the world in innovation, marketing, general management. Great to be here. It's good to see such a strong turnout of people who are willing to spend the day talking about how we build and pioneer the great industry that we've got across both countries. Let me tell you a little bit about Diageo. We are the world's leading premium drinks company. We've got a great portfolio of strong brands. We have 4 of the top 10 spirit brands in the world, which includes Johnnie Walker, Captain Morgan, Smirnoff Vodka. We also have a huge footprint, particularly in UK, Ireland. We employ almost 7,000 people across both countries. In Ireland, we obviously host 3 of our great global brands, Guinness, Baileys, and Bushmills. In the UK, the home of Johnnie Walker, we are the biggest Scotch whiskey producer with 29 different distilleries, 10 different production sites, and we have 2 of our most important innovation centers with huge staff in Ireland and Scotland. So the health of the industry for us is absolutely critical. A little bit about the industry and a couple of facts that we feel good about. It's a huge number of jobs when you think about the hospitality side of and the on-premise side of our industry that are created. In Ireland alone, there are 62,000 jobs in our business. There are 2 billion euros of tax is collected by our industry each year, and there's about 3 billion in turnover from our industry. In the UK, those numbers are obviously even bigger. We've got 2 million jobs across all sectors of the industry, where there's 16 billion euros of tax in this industry, and a number that I find quite amazing. The Scotch whiskey industry accounts for 25% of the total food and drink exports for the United Kingdom. An incredibly important industry. Now, let's talk a little bit about innovation. An area close to my heart, not only because it's important for the company, but I spent a number of years running big parts of our global new product development system. In the last 5 years, Diageo has generated over 50% of its annual growth from new products. And it's been probably the most important single lever that we've pulled to perform as an organization across all of our geographies. I'm going to give you a little a taste of some of those specific projects, but let me show you a short video which just gives you a flavor of what we've been up to over the last few years. So what do we focus on? There's no one formula for success, but just to give you a little bit of insight into what management pays attention to in driving innovation in our organization, a couple of highlights for you. We are a global company, but we've got local insights for a consumer. So what we do is have a very skilled technical group that operates globally, but then our consumer work is very localized and making sure that our products, packs, and liquids are totally tailored to the individual geography that we're in. We have built up scale in terms of the brand portfolio. That gives us a huge platform in terms of access to consumer and you'll see 90% of our innovation come off our core brands. Great design is at the core of everything we do. Sometimes it's a little bit more alchemy than just pure R&D science with us. We've got a design principle which is a little bit less of the ordinary and a lot more of the gorgeous. And it actually is critical in our business that what you hold in your hand feels and looks beautiful. We do back that up with a small but highly skilled R&D team. We don't have tens of thousands of people in R&D, but what we do is have a great network of affiliation across different industries where we draw in science that we need to drive our business. If you actually look at the history of the organization over the last 30 or 40 years, I'm always amazed that draft Guinness was invented in the mid-'60s. I thought it was here since Arthur was a boy, but it was actually a pioneer in terms of a different type of gas in the beer. We then took that in the 80s into canned draft Guinness and invented the draft at-home market. And we've done the same type of thing across whiskey, where Johnnie Walker was actually the original blended whiskey. Everything was a single malt before John Walker actually blended and invented his own brand of whiskey. And right up to today, where we're launching Johnnie Walker Double Black, we continue to pioneer the art of blending in our industry. Bailey's was a scientific breakthrough in terms of capturing stability between alcohol and dairy cream that actually invented a category that's put Bailey's in the top 10 spirits worldwide. Great history, but 5 years ago we got together and said we need to take this to a whole new level, totally oriented the company around putting innovation at the heart of everything we do. I was part of that project, and that's what really triggered our results in terms of driving huge growth out of innovation in recent years. And the one thing I would add to the formula of success that I was talking about a minute ago is belief. When we sat down as a management team, it was a room about this big with about this many people, and we all voted on electronic pads on what parts of our strategy were we least or most confident in. Innovation came out as the area we were least confident in our ability to deliver, least confident. 7 years later, innovation is the only part of that strategy where we've beaten every single breakthrough goal that we set for ourselves as a global business. And I think that's because it wasn't someone in innovation, it was the CEO and the leadership team in the company that said, this is going to work and we are going to make it happen. It's not always obvious where growth is going to come from on innovation, but if you get the right people, the right skills, blend them together and commit to developing a great product pipeline, you will see the results. And recently, just a couple other examples for us, we've had great new blends on whiskey. We use UK and Ireland as a test market where we've launched Black Lager here 18 months ago. Then we took it to Malaysia and the US. We've got Guinness mid-strength that's been pioneered in Ireland. That's now being taken to GB. So these countries are very important to us as a global business. Sustainability is another key platform of what we do. I'm really proud of what we've done as a business. And we operate in some very water-stressed areas in Africa where we've increased water efficiency by 50%. We're on track with global goals around quantum reductions in carbon, waste to landfill, water efficiency that really are driven by the same kind of attitudes and capabilities that we've got out of our innovation team. And you can see that in Scotland, where we've got distilleries that now have 90 to 100% of their energy produced on site from the biomass byproduct of the distilling process. And in Ireland itself, we're very proud of the new brewery that we're building on the Liffey down at St. James's Gate. I don't know if any of you had, any of the Irish colleagues had a chance to see the beer tanks come into Dunleary a few months ago, but it's a very exciting event for us in Dublin. And the efficiency of this plant is going to make a major contribution to Dublin County in terms of, particularly in terms of water efficiency. We're also involved in one of the first companies to sign up with Board BIA on their sustainability initiative very recently. That's the key pieces in terms of what Diageo has been up to. Given the breadth of this audience, I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes finishing off on how do you create the conditions for success for the industry, and where do government and companies actually come together to create success. There are a number of important areas that we would all be familiar with. So the partnership in terms of universities, research facilities, and companies is critical. We have with Nottingham, with UCC, and with a number of other, with Trinity here in Dublin, a number of other universities, a strong partnership, and we find that really helps us drive our innovation pipeline. We do think on a competitive level, all the work that government does around creating competitive conditions on cost, on energy, on labor are critical to continue with. It makes us makes our countries attractive as an industrial investment base. I do also want to talk about tax for a minute, because tax is big on the agenda in Europe. We generate about 25% of global sales for Diageo in our European business. Governments collect 50% of the tax for the industry globally in Europe. We're taxed at twice the rate of the global average for our industry. In the last year, 11 member states have actually increased excise duties on alcohol, never mind all the VAT increases we've seen in a number of places. We can't afford that. It actually makes investment less attractive, forces us to shed jobs. That's just not acceptable given the importance of our industry to both countries. So tax, we cannot afford to be putting a greater burden on this industry, either through further increases in Ireland, where we had a significant increase last year, or the UK, where there's a duty escalator that's added several pounds of tax to the price of a bottle of spirit in the last 5 years. So that's a critical area for us as a company. On the final piece is on Europe and the whole debate over the EU and the referendum that could happen in the UK. We're a company that's interested in growing our business, not particularly interested in politics. But the one thing that I would repeat from our CEO is that the EU as a trading framework for businesses like ours is absolutely critical. The bilateral agreements that are being pursued across companies like India and Thailand, and the ones that have been recently concluded in Central America, are exceptionally important. And it's very important that we just recognize the value of that as we go through the debate about what the new Europe is going to look like for each of our member states over the next several years. So that was it from me. I have actually personally spent years in innovation before I went into general management. I would reinforce that point about it's an area where you need belief, and it's not just from the innovation team. It has to come from the top of the company if you're going to see fantastic results. But when we do put our energy and our capability there, we invent new growth for our companies, for our industries, and for our economies. So thank you for the time, and I'll leave it to you whether we're going to do Q&A or move on.
Thank you very much indeed, John. Thank you. John can't stay, unfortunately, for the panel debate, so if you do have a question for him, now is your chance. Anybody have a question for John? Could I ask you to say who you are, where you're from, and please be very brief. We only have a couple of minutes per session. Thank you.
Nickel, I run a company called Make Innovation Happen, and I'm interested to know where innovation starts. Does it start with technology or consumer insight?
Thank you. Hang on, I'll take a couple, and then to save time. There's one there in the middle, please, if you could get that one, Kay. Thank you.
Jane Brookman from the Biosciences Knowledge Transfer Network. I was interested in your comment about the European Union and the framework behind that. As the major provider of Scotch whisky, what do you feel about Scottish independence?
If I can intervene here, I think there are two topics we're not going to have time for today. One is Britain's relationship with Europe, and the second is probably Scottish independence. But if you want to reply in half a sentence, please do. John.
Yeah. On the point on where does innovation start, 90% of the time it's with the consumer. I talk to my innovation teams and say, you need to deliver against the consumer strategy of the company. So talk to the brands and the category teams and find out where they're going and what they need to win. And whenever we win, it's always because we start with the consumer and the customer. Occasionally, we have technical breakthroughs that make a big difference, but they're more the exception than the rule. So for me, and I'm an ex-marketer, it all starts with the consumer, and then put your energy there. And you're right, I have nothing to say about Scottish devolution.
Okay.
And
one last question for you, as you won't be on the panel. We will be discussing this later. One of the key things we want to do today is discuss the potential for the collaboration between the UK and Ireland. You, of course, operating in both. We saw some pictures of your plants there. Where do you think the greatest potential is for collaboration, and how important is it to realise that potential?
I talked about the university links. We have hundreds of people who run basically our global beer innovation center and our global whiskey innovation center. So the best collaboration for us is great talent coming into the business. So we have one of the biggest graduate programs in Europe, and the links with universities, both in terms of bringing talent into the business and linking into where there is R&D capability that we can exploit, is is number one for us. It's healthy, and we just want to keep it going.
Thank you very much, John, and we will be coming back. I know one of our industry speakers is going to focus on the talents issue, and that, of course, one of the topics for our workshops this afternoon. So join me in thanking John Kennedy very much indeed. Thank you.